chaos will be sung from their passage. So saith the wise Alando.
Welcome back to Mages and Murderdads, the best show dedicated to the Baldur's Gate franchise and beyond. I'm Cameron, and I play Ticklevar, the sorcerer.
And I'm Danny, and I play Balthazar, the barbarian.
This is episode 25, and this time we're going to be talking about the Planar Sphere.
Oof.
It's a real experience.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't had that experience before, you can, here at the top of the show, follow us on Twitter. Look down in the description for our 2 Twitter handles. You can hit like on Facebook. That would help us out a lot. We get quite a lot of likes over on Facebook, and that's pretty fun. You can go to what we like to call the entire internet's comment section, aka Facebook, and see what we're doing. And you can like and subscribe. You can like this video here on YouTube, and you can subscribe to us here on YouTube to see more of our things, like our Wildlands videos from the other day. Did you like our Wildlands videos, Danny?
I did, although you can kind of sense a growing frustration, which at times bursts out into rage, which there's still like elements of it that you weren't able to edit out fully.
Yeah. If you want to hear us having a bad time, like over the course of 3 hours,
all like scrunched into just a few minutes.
Yeah, you can see it easily digested down. You don't really see that frustration here on Mages and Murderdads. This is not a frustrated show.
No, this is just a chill time for some good listening. For the good
listening. You can also support the show over on Patreon. You can give us $1 or $3 or $5 a month, and you can support these videos. You can read some writing. I put up some good old-fashioned game criticism essays once a month. Maybe Danny will write something for us over there. Maybe some board game reviews.
Yeah, and also I still need to tell folks about kind of like a trip report from that World of Dungeons game we did.
You absolutely need to do that. It'll happen. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So we're still playing Baldur's Gate. We're in Baldur's Gate 2. If you haven't listened to the show before, I don't know how you've made it. I don't know why you were listening to episode 25 first, but I commend you. This is a show where we each play the game, and we come together, and I edit the video to where you can see all the things that we did. So, sometimes the past couple episodes, we've had a big question at the top of the episode. These big ideas. We talked about, in the last episode 24, we talked about true neutral, and what is it for? What is true neutral all about? Well, in this episode, we're going to have the big question. How are we feeling about the game so far?
I feel like this is a fair question to ask, given that we're at episode 25. We're 5 episodes into, this season, if you will, of Mages and Murderdads. And also, 25, that's a quarter of the way to 100. We should be taking stock of where we've been and how we're doing.
Yeah, and I think that 5 episodes into Baldur's Gate 1, we were a chunk of the way into that game. Probably halfway through. Yeah. Especially if we discount the DLC and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we had some ideas about what was going on. We had Baragost, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had Nashkel, the mining town. We had an idea of what was going on with the mining scarcity, and we'd also wandered around a lot in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we'd had some strict narrative content, and we'd had some wandering around, kind of an equal measure. And the same thing with Siege of Dragonspear, I think. About halfway through that, we'd had a little bit of free roam time and a little bit of deep narrative story time. Maybe a lot of deep narrative story time, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Not so in Baldur's Gate 2.
I'd say that's one of the larger differences is, be it the way we're approaching it, which I don't think it's just the way we're approaching it. I think it is due to the way the game is structured, the way that Baldur's Gate 2 is structured. it's we've got quest hooks that are taking us places, and we go to those areas, and it's very like dense content there. But we're not seeing something where like we had in Baldur's Gate 1, where there were just like these little maps. If you go to the world map, just like a sprinkling of these areas of nothing, and then you'll have an area where stuff happens. There's like content hidden there. You would never have found it if you weren't going out of your way and exploring weird areas, right? Now, we've only left the city once to go to the Umar Hills. Check out episode 24. But, even Umar Hills, it's like you go there and there is the temple adjacent to it. You've got to, like, find out where that is through a quest in the Umar Hills, and then you go there, and it's not as if you can, like, go left from that temple and you find, like, plains and who knows whatever's there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no there's no wandering around. Like, there is no unintentional wandering.
Yeah.
So much that, like, the Umar Hills doesn't exist until you talk to someone to have them tell you about it. Where I think everywhere in Baldur's Gate 1 exists, whether someone tells you about it or not. Like, you could walk off of map 1 and theoretically go everywhere.
Basically, the only, maybe Olgoth's Beard would be the only exception, but you could certainly get to Durlag's Tower from Candlekeep at level 1.
As everyone should.
As everyone should, as it's intended.
Yeah, but there is this kind of weird thing of feeling like, playing the game, feeling like I'm off the beaten track in the sense of, like, we don't know what Imoen is up to at all.
Sure.
We have not followed up on that in, like, dozens of hours at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But still, like, going to the Umar Hills and it being, like, very strict and explicit narrative content. Like, I'm here to do the 4 quests and then the major quest, and then I should never ever return here again.
Yeah, it's just a more curated experience as opposed to a Baldur's Gate 1, or like maybe a more recent example of a feeling that Baldur's Gate 1 kind of evokes, like a Morrowind, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you can kind of just go off the rails and, like, really go weird places that tie into stuff later. There's only tiny tastes of that in Baldur's Gate 2, insofar as, for example, when you're in the Temple District, you can meet that wizard that you'll end up needing to find out about once you go to the Bridge District, right? But, yeah, everything seems much more curated, and exploration is more intentional and less kind of procedural, or less kind of emergent.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're bringing up a good point that there is that we can see a dividing point happening between Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2, where Baldur's Gate 1 is kind of closer to the traditional Western computer RPG, like Ultima and Elder Scrolls style. Of, like, look, we start and you can go wherever the hell you want, do whatever you want to do, and if you get hurt doing that, well, you've made that choice, right?
Get good.
You're the chosen one. Get chosen. Mm-hmm. Versus, like, Baldur's Gate 2, which I think provides a really neat trajectory into later BioWare titles, right? So, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, that kind of design of, like, very clear, almost interactive fiction style trees of decision that take you to specific places and have you do X, Y, Z. Like the Umar Hills, you could plop that, despite the fact of it being like a fantasy, fantasy scenario that happens in Faerun, you could plop that out and put that in KOTOR and make everyone like you
could reskin that and put that in any number of different games in this genre.
Mm-hmm. But maybe not, The Witcher. Might not fit into, like, The Witcher 3, which is interesting. I don't know. I just think, like, these... I think we have a unique opportunity playing these games in this, like, weird sequence. I mean, not weird sequence, but, like, this very tight and focused sequence. And I think these are threads I would not have picked up on,
no.
if not
and
for
I
doing
think
this.
an even more kind of like a sharper angle here is, it's one thing to compare Baldur's Gate 1 and Baldur's Gate 2, but I think it's really interesting to see having just experienced Siege of Dragonspear, I know that when we interviewed Phil Daigle, which was great, link here. When we interviewed Phil Daigle, he talked about how, well, because of their kind of budgetary constraints, it's like a tighter narrative, and there's less exploration in Siege of Dragonspear. But I think that anyone that would criticize Siege of Dragonspear and say, "Oh, it's on rails," or "Oh, there's not enough," you just get led from one plot point to the next. It's a constrained narrative. I think they might need to replay Baldur's Gate 2 before they level that criticism at it, because there is more in common. I feel like there's more in common between Baldur's Gate 2 and Siege of Dragonspear than BG1 and BG2.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the distance between, like if we had Siege of Dragonspear on one end of a spectrum and then Baldur's Gate 1 on the other, Baldur's Gate 2 definitely tends toward, and really, because you've never played Throne of Ball, correct?
Correct.
I'll be curious, because we'll have some version of this conversation, I'm sure, when we get toward that game, and I'll be very curious what you think. Because to my memory, and it's been a long time since I've played Throne of Ball, all the way to the end. To my memory, Throne of Ball is almost exactly the same as Siege of Dragonspear, as far as like maneuverability and the game's reactiveness to what the player wants to do and all of those things.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. No, I think interesting, and I guess before we move on, also when I'm talking about similarities between Dragonspear, BG2, BG1, right now we're kind of just talking about the narrative focus and like the way quest hubs work and exploration works. When it comes to combat and the crunchiness, BG2 and BG1 are definitely right there with each other, like some real Gygaxian stuff, and not the kind of hyper gronky combat that we saw in Siege.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the encounters don't feel like they are designed for someone who wants to play Divinity: Original Sin.
Yeah.
Which is a game I enjoyed, and I reviewed that game when it came out, and I had a good time with it. But it was also like, hitting my hand with a hammer a lot of the time.
I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but by the time we're finished with this, we will genuinely be authorities on these games. Like, people should be coming to us, people should be writing us letters about what our opinions are. Like, how many people do this kind of work?
Like longhand, people should be...
Yeah, people should be writing us letters, sending them to, I guess the Copper Coronet. Is that where our address is now?
Yeah. P.O. Box at Copper Coronet. I think it is an interesting endeavor. I encourage everyone to do this kind of interesting endeavor. And I also like, as a side note here before we move on, I do like that we are doing this in this kind of podcasty video show format and not as a Let's Play, because I don't think I would have, if we were Let's Playing it, I don't think I would be reflecting as much on the play. It would be all in the moment rather than reflective. Because there are parts of this game that are enraging. And we'll talk about one of those in just a minute, but like,
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but I definitely wouldn't have the kind of like longer perspective on it, I don't think. Well, you want to talk about the Planar Sphere?
Yeah, seems like that's fair. That's what we did.
That is what we did. So we saw Valigar a little bit. I don't even know if we talked about him in the last episode, but
we mentioned him. I think that we both interacted with him, but we decided that given the nature of his quest, we would go into him here instead of in the last episode.
So I'm gonna set up the stakes here, and I'm gonna talk about what I did with Valigar, and I'm very curious to find out what Balthazar did.
Sure.
Because what I did with Valigar is impossible for Balthazar.
Sure.
So, Valigar is a guy who the Cowled Wizards, if everyone remembers the Cowled Wizards, they're the kind of magical authority in Athkatla. They're looking for this guy because he was hiding out in the Dock District. and they sent some cowled wizards to his house for something unclear / I don't remember, and he murdered a cowled wizard, and then he ran off. And so if you're in the government district, you can talk to this dude named Tolgirius, and he'll tell you, hey, we need help finding him. If you find him, bring him to us, or bring us his body. And so he's out in the Umar Hills, and I see him, and then I'm like, hey, the cowled wizards are looking for you. What's up? Blah blah blah. He lays out this story. He says, "Did you see that big orb in the slums?"
We did.
We did see the big orb. And he says, "Well, that is piloted and was created by the guy named Lavok. And Lavok is his ancestor, and he's like not really a lich, because he's not a lich. He's just like a powerful wizard who travels throughout the universe, and occasionally, generation by generation, comes back to Faerun in order to find someone of his bloodline. So I guess like great nieces and nephews, presumably. And then he like drains them of their energy or takes over their body or something like that.
In order so that he can sustain his life past its normal boundaries.
Exactly. So like almost lichdom, I guess.
Yeah.
It seems like you should just commit at that point, right?
Sure. Can we at least step back here and appreciate the nature of that, what you just said?
How so? Elaborate.
Just the story about, so there's a guy who's wanted by wizard police, and he's hiding out. They say he murdered somebody, and he says, hey, you know this like strange otherworldly sphere? Well, that's actually an interplanar vehicle that my ancient ancestor drives around in, and they want me so that they can get in there. And my ancient ancestor, he's so old, and occasionally the only reason he comes back to this plane is to collect the life essence of one of his like relatives so he can keep living. Like that sounds like something an improv group would come up with. Like cool. Like a good improv group, but still, that's crazy.
It does kind of daisy chain around, and and I would say that this quest is defined by the fact that it is mostly just daisy chaining around. Sometimes in positive ways and sometimes in negative ways. So I told Valigar, I said, listen. Oh, well, I guess at the end, he's like, all right, what I want to do is I want to go inside that planar sphere and murder my great uncle. So he won't ever do this again. And I'm the last of the Korthala line. So, he's the only person who can go back and kill his great uncle. But anyway, so I said, all right, let's go do this. Like I fantasy quested my ass off here, and so I took Yoshimo, my only thief, took him out. He went off to the Copper Coronet, put Valigar in, gave him no weapons or armor, just assumed he would die, and then we went off.
Okay.
So in that conversation, there's only two options: join my party, or I'll see you later. And I know that Balthazar travels alone.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Well, I think in a normal playthrough where Balthazar's not doing this podcast, Balthazar does not get into the planar sphere. Right? Just doesn't do that quest.
Yeah.
No, the only way to do this was to invite Valigar into my party, immediately run over to the slums, open the door, and then immediately kick him out. And then he said, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the cabin. And then I was like, yeah, we'll meet up later. And I didn't say that. He's just there at his cabin. He's gone. And
it lets you in and out after that?
Yeah. Once the door's open, you're good.
Can I tell you, I thought that Balthazar would kill him and then use his body.
Ooh, is that an option?
Oh, yeah, that's an option. Because that's what the cowled wizards want to do.
Wizards want to do. Mm-hmm. Oh, but I guess it didn't occur to me that, like, even though that's what the cowled wizards would want to do, I would be able to do that.
Yeah, I think you can kill him and just drag his body around like everybody else does.
Well, I mean, it was easier to just trick him into coming, or not trick him. Just say, "Yeah, follow me." I didn't even say what I was doing. Follow me. Door opens. Okay, go back to the cabin.
Yeah, it's kind of annoying that he goes back to his cabin in the woods. Seems like he could go to the Copper Coronet with everybody else.
No, he's wanted.
Oh, okay. I guess that's true.
Can't go to the Copper Coronet.
Even though that the cowled wizard guy for the Umar Hills lives a mere 30 feet from Valigar.
Sure, but we already established he gives less than 0 fucks about anything the Cowled Wizards want him to, unless they explicitly tell him.
We get there. I really like the Planar Sphere, like as a visual object, because it literally is just like phased into existence. It's like cut houses in half. It's just there.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. And so yeah, you just like open this little door, and you zip on in there, and it's kind of like they're like hatches everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you're in a big submarine.
It does have a little bit of a submarine or steampunky feel.
So you go in, and there's a door in front of you. There's a door to the left and a door to the right. The door to the right has a map in it. It's pretty cool. The door in front of you is locked, and the door to your left is open, or it can be opened. And I went in there, and there was a golem there.
Yes.
And it stomped my face in. It just ate my lunch.
Mm-hmm.
For probably 6 times, 7 times.
Why?
I don't know. It's for me. I think it was a clay golem, and they cast haste, and like half of my people's weapons don't work on them for some reason. And so it just punched my whole party to death. You could like 3-shot my party, and it was at this point that I thought that maybe the Planar Sphere might be too difficult for me. But it wasn't.
Yeah, it seems like I do remember that one golem being weirdly resistant to the weapons that I had. But I don't remember any other golem being that difficult.
No, it was a gear check golem.
Interesting. You think that's the logic?
No, I have no idea why. I think it's just a difficult golem to kill, but I like the idea of like a gear check monster in this single player RPG.
You like projecting intentionality on all of these. Yeah, these are all features.
Yeah, every single one of these is just a feature. Definitely not any problems here. So you go past this golem after the infinite number of times it took me to kill it. There's a key in there. There's also a golem arm that we'll see come up later.
Yeah, when you see a golem arm in Baldur's Gate 2, go ahead and pick that up. Don't say, "Oh, I don't need that right now. I'll just leave it in the container." That's bad. That's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, you always want to pick up a golem arm, even if you don't think you're going to use it.
Yeah, hone your video game instincts, people.
I wonder who out there, is there a listener who would see a golem arm and be like, you know what, not for me. I don't need it.
I don't know. Leave one in the comments if that was you.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know if you're a bad player. So you take the key and you like put it in the planar lock, and then the planar sphere like rumbles and zips off into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna die here now.
That's the rest of the game.
Like if you're Lavok, right? If you're the owner and operator of your own planar sphere, what you do is you transport that thing. You know, you got invaders coming in. You zip off into the universe. You close all the doors, and then you just wait like 10 days tops.
Mm-hmm.
Because people aren't.
There's not any food anywhere.
No. Even though there is like, well, in the next room. There are all kinds of people. Tell us about the people who are in these rooms.
Yeah, there are Knights of Solamnia, and these are basically some adventurers that have been. They're not from Athkatla. They're not from Faerun. They're from a different dimension, basically.
They're from Dragonlance. And Salon.
And they have they've been getting by here mysteriously. We don't know how long. They say, man, we've been here a while. And they describe being accosted by these little humanoid creatures that are about half the size of a human, and they're vicious, and they've got weapons, and they jumped all over them, and they barely got back and barricaded themselves into this room. And I think the player character can say in jest, it literally sounds like you're describing halflings. And when they respond, they put halflings in quotation marks. And they're like, look, I don't know what you're talking about with these halflings, but these things are vicious. They're bad. Mm-hmm. Which I think the reason why that is Dragonlance does not have halflings.
No, they have Kinder.
Exactly, yeah.
Which are their own version. Yeah, I really like that, that like a little bit of like trans-setting storytelling.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
D&D shared universe.
A tiny piece of that with respect to the Interplanar Travelers Bard Troupe.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the most explicit reference thus far to a different setting. And the next one happens one story beat later, because you still have to, explain what are these creatures. And I was kind of thinking, what are these things going to end up looking like? Gibberlings, some other thing? No, they are halflings. They are labeled halflings, and these are halflings from yet another world, not Ansalon, not Faerun. These are halflings from Athos, right?
Yeah, from Dark Sun.
I feel like that could go a few ways pronunciation-wise.
Athos.
But Dark Sun is one of the like the cult classic, one of the cult favorites in terms of campaign settings in Dungeons and Dragons, where it's like dark fantasy, everything's post-apocalyptic. The world's just one big desert. All the gods have died, and magic has sapped all life force from vegetation. Like in Dark Sun, instead of magic coming from the weave, magic is like you draining vitality from the earth. So divine magic just doesn't exist because the gods are dead, and real magic is like scorned because it is seen as being the cause of this horrible thing that has happened, and the world is ruled by terrible dragon sorcerers, and who propagate slavery and gladiatorial fights, and it's just a real mean, bad place.
It's just Conan world.
It's kind of Conan world, yeah.
Conan world in the desert. Yeah, it's all mage kings. The source books for Dark Sun are super cool.
Yeah,
it's just like lists of bad stuff. There's sand sharks. They're just sharks that swim under the sand and kill you. Mm-hmm. There are thri-kreen, whatever they are, giant 6-armed bug people.
Mm-hmm. And they always are wielding 6 scimitars.
I mean, what are you going to do, wield 4 scimitars? What kind of crap world do you think this is? And yeah, so halflings in that world are like cannibalistic, like group mind monstrous beings.
Yeah, they're real mean. Dark Sun it plays up the fact that it's dangerous and everything's hazardous so much that in most settings, including like 4th edition, which was all about balance, it like very explicitly said, yes, Dark Sun is like Dungeons and Dragons hard mode. Like it is like all of the Gygaxian elements are cranked up, and do not be surprised if your level 1 character just gets swallowed by a sand shark. That just happens sometimes. Get good.
Yeah, there's no wood or metal left in the world. So if you have a wooden club, you are like the best dude.
Yeah, and a dragon sorcerer might have a few steel swords.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's clearly the best one.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was Dark Sun Explanation Hour.
Mm-hmm.
Tune in. I don't know if we're going to do that again.
No, just tune in this one time.
Yeah, tune in this one time, and congratulations, you got through it. But yeah, so having 2 planes here, and these halflings, I don't know. They die to everything else, just like they died just like everything else to Balthazar.
They bleed like everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad about killing this entire tribe of halflings.
So what is the explanation for how they got they nested here or whatever Dark Sun halflings do?
There is not one, which is part of the this is the push and pull of this quest, right? On one hand, conceptually very cool. Ooh, Knights of Solamnia, they're dope. They're very cool. They're the honor and word kind of paladins from Dragonlance. Whoa. They're these people from Dark Sun, and they're like way weird and way different. Why are any of these things here? ... Like,
I think
don't know.
I would have loved to see, because I can think, just off the top of my head, what if the halflings, what if they attach themselves to the planar sphere in the same way as like a barnacle? Like when the planar sphere was rolling through Dark Sun and it materialized, because the planar sphere materialized in the slums and it ate up a bunch of stuff in the slums, right? Mm-hmm. What if when it materializes in the slums, there was some slums in the planar sphere? We're when it pops into one of these things, some of the slums or some of that plane gets subsumed into an area of the planar sphere, and maybe that's what happened last time it popped through Dark Sun. Just picked up a little halfling tribe.
I mean, I think that's some great storytelling you're doing. It's sad that none of that is in this game. Because, there is no slums in there, right?
No.
So I don't know. Unclear. I mean, maybe he's just growing his own batch of halflings.
Sure.
For nefarious purpose. I mean, if you're gonna create a security system for the middle of your planar sphere,
you could do worse than Dark Sun halflings.
Exactly. A large group of cannibalistic murderers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the worst choice. They're self-sustaining. Up to a point. Up to the point of entropy, right?
Yeah, you just really self-sustaining as long as burglars keep trying.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? There's another room in this building that is full of sentient funguses too. So
that's true.
I don't know. Worth thinking. I feel like we're putting way more thought into this than
anyone else did.
Yeah, I think maybe so. So after this, there is a bunch of golems you got to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I see here in the thing you say you have it says adamantite golems.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me about that?
Well, yeah, there's some adamantite golems.
No, there's not.
Are they? Yeah.
Not for me.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I put in the notes here, yeah, it seems like nothing here scales to level, but then I thought, well, what is the hardest thing I fought? And there was about 3 or 4 of them, and they were giant silver golems, and they were either adamantium or adamantite. I forgot which way they went with this mythical material.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and they just resist. It'll be Balthazar will swing, and it'll say Balthazar deals 2 damage, 22 resisted. Right. And
that's a lot.
It is. They can't hurt Balthazar, and with Berserk and Haste, Balthazar, it's just chipping away, because he's hitting them 100% of the time. It's 2, 2, 2, 2, critical hit, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And they still die, but they're they looked impressive.
Yeah, I wonder if the feeling of nothing scaling is that just that halflings don't go that high.
Sure, halflings might not go that high, and also I think Balthazar ends this at level 31 or 32, and it might be that scaling only goes so far,
This game. The XP dump that is required. So you go up through here, and you find a golem assembly station.
Sure.
So we know where that arm's going. And you go up a little bit further from there into another room. There's a big furnace room. Unclear what this furnace is for, I'll be honest.
Did you not use it?
No, I did. And and then there's another room that has, it's like a big clock in it. Mm-hmm. And all these rooms have golems in them. You got to slay the golems. The furnace room, you've been picking up coal from various depositories throughout this entire dungeon, and you put the coal in the furnaces in order to power the golem assembly station. So I did do it. I didn't know why I was making a golem. I just knew that was clearly in my way, like a thing to do. I didn't really know why. And every time I did that, a big-ass greater fire elemental came out.
Yeah.
And I had to fight him. Which is bad, because my primary means of fighting everything are fire elementals.
Oh, no.
I know. So I had to...
Your only weakness.
I know, so I had to go old school with that.
Skeletons.
And, magic missile.
Oh.
Everybody has it. Everybody's dual-class mage.
Is that true?
No.
No, that would be great, though.
That would be good. No, that'll be for Icewind Dale. Everybody's a mage kit. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a wizard slayer, the best class in the game.
Screw that. 6 barbarians.
Oof. All right, I feel like after we're done with this, you'll never play a barbarian in a game again.
Probably not.
Yeah. Like, I feel like you've probably had the experience, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you eventually you get all of the pieces, you get all the coal going, and you assemble the golem.
So did you know why you needed to assemble the golem?
No, I was just doing it because of the quest.
Just because I love the idea of it, that if you pick up golem parts and you find a golem assembly station, that both of us in our video game brain were like, well, we should do that before doing anything else.
Yep. I mean, the real if Baldur's Gate really wanted to play up its Gygaxian heritage, it would just, after we assembled the golem, it would say, intruder alert, and then it would attack you, and it would just be a normal golem, and you would kill it.
I definitely thought that would happen. I definitely thought I was making a super golem.
Because when you activate him, he does say, intruder alert, and I was like, well, the only person I see is me.
Yeah.
So I was like getting ready to fight him.
Yeah, it's like the truly worst possible decision one can make to create your own murder golem. But no, he runs across the map.
To an area I have not explored.
Yeah, same here. And what's he find there?
Well, he starts running, and he says, there's an intruder alert here. And actually, I think one of his says, he's like, beholder detected. And then Balthazar immediately hits berserk. And because I have the boots of speed, I just run ahead of the golem. And I get to this chamber, and there's an elder orb there. And then I hit Greater Whirlwind, and I rolled up on the Elder Orb, and I just destroyed it.
Yeah, I was able to. So I didn't outpace the golem. I let the golem take lead here. But when he started punching the Elder Orb, which like said something sassy at me, I don't really know. He spoke to me, or it spoke to me, and so we start going at him, and the golem punches at one time, and then my whole party gets in on it because I didn't know if it would give me the experience or not. And so yeah, I did that, and I thought it'd be much more difficult. I thought it'd be the kind of thing like you had to make the golem, but I think I probably could have fought that thing on my own.
No, I don't think that it was. It wasn't some weird plot protected event where you had to have the golem. I think that the golem was just there, maybe just in case you started the planar sphere right out of the copper coronet, maybe. Yeah.
Well, you'd have to do well, I guess not. I would be curious. I'd be curious what like a speed run of this game looks like, and like what are like the useful low level quests to do, like the fastest ones to get up to a level that's high enough to like complete some of the later game stuff.
I think it's I don't know. I think that's an interesting question, but for some reason I just doubt that you're ever doing the planar sphere in a speed run.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting, like a speed run, all stronghold speed run, to see like what is the most what's like the lowest you can do it.
Probably level 1. Or
probably
opening level. So we do that, and then right through that door that the Elder Orb is guarding, it's our old buddy Lavok. And he says some just nefarious shit.
Just some twirls his mustache.
He really does. He's like, I'm bad and I'm killing y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Nuh-uh, buddy. I'm killing you." And I went for him. I summoned a bunch of elementals at him.
How'd that work?
It was a really easy fight. Like, surprisingly easy. I remember it being very difficult, like the last time I played the game, and I don't know if it was because I tried to do this at an earlier level, or if I did it later, maybe, and he scales or something like that. But yeah, like, even though I have a harder time with wizards than maybe I should, just cast Breach a couple times on him, and then my Mazzy shot him with arrows, and maybe Valigar stabbed him some. It was not a hard fight at all, not even challenging.
Yeah, I still have to rely on Barbarian Breach, which is go and hit him and trigger contingency, and then leave the area and rest come back.
I don't think contingency ever triggered for me. This could be a scaling thing, like he might have a different move set.
It could be, but I mean, whether it's... He just immediately casts Mantle, and I think that makes him invulnerable to all weapons except +5 weapons. So I'm not there yet, and I just had to like leave and then make sure that Mantle was worn off.
Yeah.
But either way.
Which is probably just resting, right?
Yep, just resting.
So yeah, beat him up. And then he, like everyone else who has ever done a bad thing ever, says,
It's never their fault.
It's never their fault. Because he was possessed by an evil force of some sort. And I'm very unclear about what the hell actually happened here. Did you understand any of that?
No.
He's just like, I built this planar sphere in my youth. I wandered around the plains. An evil force possessed me, and then everything bad I ever did was because of him. Or it. Mm-hmm. But where
and you finally freed me.
What'd I do?
Apparently?
I smashed the evil force out of his body? With a mace?
Yeah, very unclear.
I stabbed the evil force out? I don't know.
Maybe it abandoned him because the evil force saw that this host was going to die, and now the evil force is in you.
That's why. All right, we'll talk. Put a pin in that because I want to talk about that later. Because I feel like there's a place where this quest could have gone, and it doesn't. So anyway, he starts saying, "Oh, I'm very sad. I'm sad about all the things I did. The only thing that I want to do," and Valigar this whole time is like mad as hell that Lavok keeps coming back and eating his family. So he's like full of vengeance and rage. And so Lavok says, the only thing I want is to die in the light of my own plane. So to see the sun of his home plane before he dies. And Valigar says, okay, might sounds good to me, buddy. Which is weird, right? Like, what happened for you here? You don't have Valigar.
Yeah, so nothing. I think that the game assumed that Valigar had been in my party and died because one of the potential dialogue options I had if I wanted to refuse his request was, I don't think so. We've been through a lot and some of us didn't make it. Some interesting dialogue decisions there.
So he asks you to let him see... So like
the light of day, yeah.
Okay. So there's
it's
no
all
mediator.
that conversation. Yeah, it's all that conversation. It's just me doing it.
Gotcha. And so to do that, we have to like get back home because we're like floating around in the abyss, apparently.
And if you've ever had to get back home, what do you need? Gotta go get a demon heart.
You gotta go get a demon heart, yeah. Which is such a weird thing. So yeah, so you literally wander back out. Back out the way you came. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. And there's just the abyss out there, which is interesting to me because, and this is of course a thing that can't that can't be solved, but it would be a great thing to mod in. Is that if you remember during Siege of Dragonspear, at the end of Siege of Dragonspear, Viconia was in my party, and Viconia said, "Oh, thankfully we're going to hell." Wherever we ended up going. Where do you remember where we go?
Avernus.
Avernus.
Yeah.
She said, luckily we're going to Avernus because if we were going to the Abyss, her goddess Loth, or the Drow's goddess Loth, would wreck her shit. right? She would
Sure.
like come find her and do murders on her.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are in the abyss. Viconia is in my party. No problems from her.
No problems. I mean, the biggest misstep with the Abyss is the fact that you can rest there.
So you can just camp out in the
You can
abyss.
just sit. You can do the old Balthazar, sit cross-legged for 8 hours. Move.
Isn't it like, aren't gods in their like native or natural plane? Don't they have imminent knowledge of that plane? Like they know everything that occurs there?
They do, although the thing with the Abyss is not lost because there are infinite layers of the Abyss. So Loth is in the demon web pits, right? And so the Demogorgon's in a different one, and so on and so forth. So it may very well be that we're in we're in like the really like the little league of Abyss layers, like the T-ball of Abyss layers.
Well, because we are. That's almost 100% sure.
Well, yeah.
So I wandered around. I met a Tanari.
Mm-hmm.
I killed it. Got a demon heart. I met another named Tanari that summoned other demons. Killed him, got his heart. Its heart. And then I met a third one too, and it seemed more complicated to fight it. So I just ran back to the Planar Sphere.
No, I got all 3 hearts. I figured, what the heck? What if I needed to fly the Planar Sphere around more?
Did you get an achievement for that?
No, I did not.
Really
I didn't
should
get
have.
Didn't get a Chivo.
Real oversight here, Beamdog.
Oof.
Anyway, so you roll back in there, and you got to go to the engine room, and it took me forever to find the engine room.
Well, it's on your map, buddy.
It's not on my map.
We got to go to the different level. You got to go to the room of fire and ice.
I did not know how to get down to the bottom level. So here's the thing. So there's a room with like 4 sigils on the floor, right? And you like use the sigils to go down. I did the sigils, and this is the weird thing. I did it exactly right the first time. With like no trial and error. I thought, I'll just brute force this. It can't be that hard. And I just happened to do it right, which is cool. Ooh. And I didn't see the door open. And so I just wandered around. I probably wandered around for 5 minutes trying to find it.
Oof.
Because it said, like, put it in the golem. You gotta put the heart in the golem. And so I was like, I gotta go find a golem. And I, like, went around anyway. So, ended up going down the stairs to these rooms of fire and ice. Just full of fire demons and ice demons.
Yeah, there's an Ifrit there, there's some salamanders, there's a snow troll, which I realized, oh my gosh, I left my burning sword on the table in where I keep like all my things and that passed out guy. So I just had to not kill a snow troll.
What a time not to have your thing.
I know.
You know who else is also down here?
Who else?
The Cowled Wizards.
Oh yeah. They snuck in behind me while I was in the abyss.
This is the most silly and ridiculous thing. Like, I know that is a broad claim to make. But it took an immense amount of effort to get in the Planar Sphere. The minute that I opened the door to the sphere, it transferred into the abyss. I had to kill just an unthinkable number of halflings to get to the room where I would use the sigil to go downstairs, and then the door wasn't open before I opened the sigil. So they could not. There's no possible way that these Cowled Wizards could be here.
So no, you are wrong. You just don't understand the way teleportation works.
Do you think they just teleported on in there?
Yes, because teleportation, all it requires... So, like, it's not like a Wi-Fi... It's not like a cellular signal, which would be blocked inside the Planar Sphere, right?
Yes.
It is, once the door was open, they could teleport anywhere inside they wanted.
But... okay. If we grant that as true, All right, this is the nerdiest I will ever get on this podcast, on this show. If we grant that as true, there's a two-door problem. The most external door of the Planar Sphere, the one they could not get open without Valigar's body.
Yeah.
Cannot ever be open at the same time as the first interior door. The minute the first interior door opens, the outside one closes.
Correct.
So there's never any teleportation ability into the sphere.
No, of course there is, because it's only the first door, which is warded, and it requires the blood of Valigar. Once I had Valigar at the front door, and that front door was open, I dismissed him, and Balthazar was able to get through the rest of the Planar Sphere uninhibited. Therefore, there was a moment, once that outside door was open, that the wizards could teleport, because wizards can teleport through mundane doors.
I just feel like this is the worst thing.
Keep it in. Don't edit this out.
I'm just enraged by the very idea of this. I just can't help it. Well, this somehow explainable, yet wildly inconsistent and horrible. Why didn't they just magically teleport to his house then? Because they could teleport through all the mundane objects in between here and there. They can't teleport to the Umar Hills. They didn't
know he was there.
They have a dude they know. Yes, they did. They sent me there. They did know. Ugh, this is the worst. I was gesticulating so wildly I was hitting my microphone. In any case, so they're down here and I killed them. Mm-hmm. Chickelvar went into a wild rage. Went berserk. I summoned 2 elementals and 3 skeletons, and they went and did work for me.
That's what your sorcerer rage is.
Yeah, it's like a long form and complicated rage. No, quite literally, like if I do an encounter and it looks like I can't do it, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna reload. I will just summon as many elementals and skeletons as I can. I cast haste on them. I will open the door and send them in, and then I will close the door, and I'll just wait. That's how I've solved a lot of issues in the Baldur's Gate franchise. Mm-hmm. So we do that. Kill Tolgirius, the guy who gave me the quest initially. So I guess we're out of that.
Sure.
Conundrum.
Although the quest log does this, I'm sure this will cause problems later. But
does it say that?
Yeah.
I'll go back and report to his boss. Hey, I murdered your guy. He's in that big orb. But so we go in there, and it's really cool, I think, that this golem engine, I mean, it's protected by a bunch of golems I had to kill. I didn't much care for that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's like a big living, like the whole sphere itself is like a big living golem.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
You just we gotta give it a little heart, give it a little boost to get us out of the abyss.
Mm-hmm. No one ever said that the heart that summoned Captain Planet was in fact a demon heart. But is Captain Planet a golem?
I think so, dude.
I think he is.
Yeah, that's the only explanation.
Ooh, that's disturbing.
That's blowing my mind right now.
Yeah, me too.
He has no free will. He has no agency, really. It's all just an effect,
God, no intuition pump. Daniel Dennett would have nothing to say about Captain Planet. So we do that. Power up this bad boy. Go back up to Lavok. There's a lot of running around. Like an immense amount of running around in this Planar Sphere. And so I go up and I talk to Lavok and I said, I've done it. And he's like plugged in the coordinates. And he zips us back to Faerun, to the prime material plane. And we go out. And it's dark and it gets lighter. There's like a nice visual effect that happens there. And so what happened for you there?
Well, he was on the ground. He's like, "Oh, thanks. I wanted this to happen." And then he started to say a sentence, and then he died mid-sentence. And then I picked up his ring and a gem.
Yeah, he's got a
walked off
spellcasting ring
into the morning.
Mm-hmm. Full and free.
Yep, that was the end of that, and I was satisfied. I was like, that was a nice little adventure.
Well, I came out of the Planar Sphere with Lavok and Valigar and the rest of my team, and I was immediately, like, before Lavok could trigger dialogue in this pre-written, you know what I mean, like, I'm not...
Climax of the quest.
Yeah, climax of the quest in which that's supposed to be automatic, and I'm just clicking through it. This halfling named Dano interrupts this moment. He's standing on the ledge outside the door. So this kid's been waiting for years, as far as I know. Like, literally, this planar sphere was not in this plane, and he was standing on this little dock waiting for it to come back.
It to appear.
So I come out. I'm carrying this aging, dying demi-lich. And he's like, excuse me. I bought a potion, a love potion for my dearest, and she's sick. She passed out. She won't come back. And I'm like holding this dying wizard. And Mazzy's like, look, I can't really do anything. He's like, but you have to come right now. You got to come to trade me right now. Do it. And so I was like, fine, I'll go to trade meet. And then finally, Lavok was able to deliver his like dying
Lavok,
monologue.
as he's dying, like after you have this conversation with the halfling, is like, "Are you Are you sure? I don't want to interrupt your."
Yes, no, it was the weirdest little moment. But as Lavok died, he did gift me the Planar Sphere.
Ooh,
Bum, bum. It's my stronghold.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. As a casting class, as a sorcerer / mage.
Now, what does that mean?
It means that over the next couple like in-game weeks, I can do some special quests to basically like do wizard shit. In the same way that if I were a ranger, I could have taken over the little zone in the Umar Hills. And I could have done some ranger shit, and if I were a priest, I could have taken up in one of the 3 temples in the Bridge District, or not Bridge District, the Temple District, to help them recover from the unseen eye and all of that.
Oh boy!
So I'm going to be able to do that, and so with that in mind, I think that we should go and get your stronghold.
Yeah, just for fairness' sake.
For fairness' sake, which means that next episode. Oh, and he died at the end.
Yeah.
And I kicked Valigar out of my party immediately. We got Yoshimo back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to do DR Nice Hold.
We should.
For the next episode, which is your stronghold. I believe. You should check to make sure, but I believe it's all of the fighter kit.
Yeah, I believe so.
So how'd you feel about the Planar Sphere?
It was fun. I think maybe a few missed opportunities with stories, but I mean, wasn't it fun to use our imagination to fill in those gaps? Almost as fun as reading it on the screen.
Oh, let me tell you here about the thing I said to put a pin in a minute ago.
Yeah.
So here's what I think should have happened. When you bring Lavok out into the morning light, he's like, yo, you're an idiot. I cannot believe you bought that shit. I'm still an evil wizard. And he should have zipped away. And then we could have followed up. We could have gone to like another place and fought him there.
Or that could have been the climax of the Stronghold quest, where like we gotta navigate the Planar Sphere to where Lavok's hiding and finish him for good.
That would have been great.
Yeah.
Well, none of that happened. But wasn't it great to use our imagination?
It was, yeah. What a fun time.
Mm-hmm. So yeah. So next episode we're going to be doing DR Nice Hold. I don't know if you have to go get her. When you talked to her, did she go all the way back?
Yeah, I don't think she has to be in the party.
Yeah.
Because I've already got the quest.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we're going to do that next. Another little outside Baldur's Gate. Although I do think we are quickly accelerating into actual plotline stuff.
Yeah, I believe so. There's going to come a point where we run out of stuff to do in Chapter 2.
Yes. Of things that I think that we can do or maybe should do in chapter 2, we should do the docks district / the graveyard district.
At least to get that guy off of that table.
Yeah, you got to get rid of him. But there's a lot of stuff to do in docks if you have a party, which is interesting. So there's the Thieves Guild quest versus the Vampire quest. Mm-hmm. I think the way we have talked about this before is that I will be doing the Thieves Guild and kind of talking about that, and you'll be doing the Vampire Guild.
Blah.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be an interesting episode. So that'll be one episode doing the docks. There will be an episode of doing trade meat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it. And then it's just kind of story content all the way through.
Yeah.
And then you will, of course, do your obligatory attempt at Watcher's Keep.
Sure. While you do another thing that we haven't done. No. It will just be observation mode.
Yeah, that'll just be me laughing at you trying to do Watcher's Keep.
That might be the episode where you have to go kill the shadow dragon that you cowardly skipped.
Can I give you a little update on that?
Sure.
I just went and tried it just to see where I was at with it. And I took down 1 health pip. And it started one-shotting my whole party.
Okay, well, it sounds like you've got progress you need to make on that.
Yeah, I got a little way to go. But I did give it a shot, and yes, that will be in some episode.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Okay, well, thanks everybody for listening so much. As always, just at the top, you can follow us both on Twitter. You can like us on Facebook. You can hit the like button, the little thumbs up here on this YouTube page. You should hit subscribe. That would really help us out. It helps get the numbers up. When we get to 1,000 subscribers, I think we're going to do a little relaunch. Maybe we'll make an actual channel video.
Yeah,
which we've never done.
We might do that, and there, I don't know, all kinds of opportunities in the future.
We're brainstorming.
Yeah. If you've got cool ideas for our upcoming rebrand, I think we've already got a name for the channel locked down. But any other ideas of cool promotion, we could have like a free banana for every person that's like every 5th subscriber.
That's gonna get expensive. I don't know. We need to talk about the banana budget.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're interested in contributing to the Banana Fund, you can support us on Patreon. Help support the huge amount of time that we put into these videos, both playing and editing and suffering. Once again, you can go look at those Wildlands videos. Hey-o! If you wanted to see some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be more of that. We've fairly regularized some other content, but that'll be coming down the pipe. We have some showing up.
Yep.
Well, this was episode 25 of Mages and Murderdads. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Danny.
And it's over now.
Ciao.
Alonda.